The arc of Donald Trump's relationship with Russia is not a smooth line, but a jagged series of peaks and valleys. A complex geopolitical drama played out through press conferences, private meetings, and increasingly on social media. What began as a surprising personal affinity has over time deteriorated into a tense, calculated standoff. The recent public deployment of 2 nuclear submarines by the US is not merely an isolated event, but the dramatic and perhaps inevitable result of this evolution. To understand this moment, one must trace the path of Trump's diplomatic approach to Moscow and its key players, Vladimir Putin and Dmitry Medvedev. In the beginning, during Trump's first presidency, his view of Russia and its leader was one of a kind. He praised Putin as highly respected, and the relationship was often described as a bromance. While Trump's first administration faced intense scrutiny over alleged ties to Moscow, his personal rhetoric remained remarkably soft on Putin. He deflected criticism of the Russian leader, famously putting the US on equal moral footing with Russia when asked about Putin being a killer. Trump has even revealed classified information to Russian officials. This era was defined by a seeming belief that his personal charisma and a very good relationship with Putin would unlock a diplomatic grand bargain. A belief that was consistently rebuffed by a skeptical Congress and a cautious national security apparatus. The tone has now shifted dramatically. The second Trump administration, facing the reality of the Russia-Ukraine war, not being able to bring an end to it despite various public and back-channel attempts, has now seen a gradual deterioration of this dynamic. Trump, who returned to office promising a swift end to this war, has been forced to confront the limits of his personal equation with Putin. The initial promise of a 50-day ceasefire deadline meant to showcase his deal-making prowess was met with indifference by Moscow. In fact, Russia's military campaign in Ukraine continued unabated, with missile and drone attacks pounding Ukrainian cities. Clearly, the Kremlin's response was a polite but firm. We have taken note of Trump's demand while continuing to present its own unchanged conditions for peace. As Trump's frustration with Putin grew, he did not launch a full frontal assault on the Russian leader. Instead, a peculiar pattern developed where Trump would condemn Russia's actions in harsh, unapologetic terms, calling them, and I quote, disgusting, and even saying Putin had gone absolutely crazy. Yet, he would simultaneously preserve the idea of his personal rapport with Putin. He would frame his disappointment carefully, stating, again, I quote, I am disappointed in Putin, but I am not done with him, and would still speak of their conversations in a positive light. It is surprising now that these personal attacks and current escalating rhetoric have been aimed not at Putin, but at his subordinate, Dmitry Medvedev. Medvedev, once seen as a more liberal figure during his own presidency, has now transformed into a loud, provocative voice for the Kremlin. Trump has singled him out, branding him the failed former president of Russia and warning him to watch his words as he was entering very dangerous territory. This dynamic came to a head in late July 2025 this year after Trump publicly threatened tariffs on countries like India and China for their economic ties to Russia. Medvedev responded with a series of taunts culminating in a chilling reference to the Soviet-era dead-hand nuclear protocol. It earned its name as it was designed to automatically trigger a retaliatory nuclear strike even if Russia's entire human leadership had been killed in a first strike. For Trump, this was the moment to demonstrate that his warnings were more than just words. On August 1st, he announced the public deployment of 2 nuclear submarines, a move that is highly unusual for a public nature and a clear signal of the seriousness of this escalation. The order was explicitly and exclusively linked to Medvedev's highly provocative statements, especially the reference to the dead hand, and not to Putin's action. By criticizing Medvedev, Putin's attack dog, Trump appears strong without directly attacking Putin, preserving a possible deal. It's a face-saving move. Trump looks tough while Putin gets to distance from these extreme remarks. But Trump still hopes his personal bond with Putin might lead to a breakthrough. But Putin seems to see it as something he can exploit. In a calculated and dangerous move, the US president maneuvers nuclear submarines in response to that social media post, leaving the world to wonder if this fragile balance leads to peace or signal the start of a far more perilous descent. Thank you. This is Garima and you are watching the Asian Chronicles.